The Celtics go 2 for 2 against the Indiana Pacers at home. Now they're heading over to Indiana. Let's talk about it. Two games at the TD Garden, two games with a win. The Celtics snapped their game two losing streak, lost to Miami, lost to Cleveland, did not lose to Indiana. I'm joined by my boy Cody Shalafu. He's a broadcasting extraordinaire. What's going on, my boy?
Hey, after a win, man, it's all high over here. We are riding high. It's a beautiful day outside because the Celtics got a W in a game two. Who would have thought? Not me. Get your Bibles out. Get your cigarettes out. This is going to be a fun series.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So obviously, you have Luke Cornett go down. He's got the wrist sprain. You then see Tyrese Halliburton goes down, got the leg injury. Boston are heading over to Indiana now. They've won both games at home. There's a potential to go to Indiana and close out the series if they win the next two. More logical to me is splitting the next two and coming back 3-1 up to close out at the Garden. But if Halliburton's out for a prolonged period of time, like this could be it. Could go to it could be it. You might get Porzingis back in game 4 too, according to the Woj report. So it could be it.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's Halliburton's awesome. He deserved to be on the All NBA team that was announced the other day. He's awesome. He makes that engine run. Last night Siakam was incredible, but I feel like if you don't have those two, like that's what makes them good. Adding Siakam just added an extra layer in case things weren't going well. Siakam, he's proved that he's a guy that can win a championship as a second option. He was awesome in that 2019 run. He kinda got buried over the bad Toronto teams. But you for him to be as good as he is, it's with Halliburton. I feel like that's obvious. You take one of your best players out, that's obviously a big hit. But the way they play, the way they run, it's all predicated on how electric that kid is. And him missing any period of time, again, everyone was writing this team off as soon as they blew game 1, because let's face it, they had that game locked up. They choked it at the end. It helps that you have a proven all-star, an all-NBA player making a big shot in Jaylen Brown. But for everything, like, I tweeted out after game 1, "Well, no, let's regroup for game 2," with 10 seconds left, and now you take that scenario that, okay, you're dead in the water, you gave up your best chance. Now take away your best player off the court. Hopefully, it's not for too much time. I love watching the best players in the league go at it. That's a brutal blow to Indiana if he's out for any stretch.
Yeah, it feels like the Donovan Mitchell blow to Cleveland in the last series. You know, you got Mitchell going off, playing great. He goes down. I feel like Halliburton was getting exploited a little bit on the defensive end in this game. The Celtics were hunting him a little bit inside pick and rolls, trying to switch him onto Tatum. If they didn't switch him onto Tatum, they'd try and attack him off the dribble. And then he goes down with this injury. Obviously, they're not related, but at the same time, just as the Celtics were figuring out ways to exploit him, he goes down, and now they have to adjust in who they're hunting on offense. How their defense is going to look will change because obviously you're going to run more through Siakam. They might try and put Siakam at the elbow, at the nail more, just because of the success he had in game one. The other change that Boston made, and this was kind of forced, as we said, Luke Cornett got hurt, was you bring O'Shea Brissett in and you run him at the 5 a little bit, then you run him at the 4 and move Tatum up, and you're more fluid, you're more energetic, you can play a much more uh, aggressive switching system, I'd probably say. You'll be able to switch faster, you can play higher, you can drop, you can have guys rotating over from the weak side a little bit more frequently because people can sink in. And that small lineup just looks so difficult to contain, especially for the Pacers. On the defensive end as well, it looked like Indiana just had a nightmare trying to break it down because there's always somebody else jumping into your driving lane or somebody in your grill. I feel like maybe Missoula stumbled onto something there that works this series. I don't think it's going to work in the finals, but Brissett makes sense in this series just because of the pace that Indiana play at and the aggression and kind of controlled chaos that he brings that matches what Neesmith brings for Indiana, right?
Yeah.
So it did feel like they stumbled into something there.
No, it's awesome. I mean, as a Syracuse lover, shout out O'Shea Brissett. I did not realize he was 25. He's definitely a guy that feels 29. So shout out O'Shea Brissett just being younger than I thought. But yeah, I think we've been talking about Tillman getting minutes, and Obviously, now with the passing of his father, unfortunately, condolences to the Tillman family with all that. You don't know how ready he was. Obviously, he was on the bench, he was available, he did play at the very, very end. But maybe that's a reason why they weren't going to him late in the Cleveland series, because you would assume that some of that stuff behind the scenes was happening. He wasn't in the right mindset. He probably wasn't ready to go. Obviously, game one, he was out. He probably wasn't in the right spot. So throwing Brissett out there was awesome. I mean, they've had this archetype for a while, and this is something that teams covet: just strong, switchy, athletic guys. He's 6 foot, what, 6'7", 6'8" in that range. He's not gonna shoot the lights out. He's not gonna bring a whole bunch of value offensively, but he's an energy guy. And like you said, kind of that he matches the freak of Neesmith. Like that is like they are kind of just these bulls in china shops. Brissett a little bit more contained. Obviously, he's been in the league a little bit more, and he's just not as wild and reckless as Neesmith is, which I'm on record. I think it's awesome. I know people find it annoying, and he's out there trying to intentionally hurt people. Go do your thing, man. Not everyone can be a 30-point per game scorer. You got to make your money somehow. And I love Neesmith. I love what he does. But yeah, Brissett getting in there, and that was the first thing I noticed. Like, going to Brissett over Tillman. Then I was like, okay, you know, but being able to switch around, especially Indiana's trying to get that best match. Everyone's trying to get the best matchup on the court. And we saw in game two, they threw Jalen and they threw Jason and they started them on Turner. They started them on Siakam. We've seen the last few years when we had Marcus Smart, you would start him on Giannis. You'd start him on Embiid. We saw Drew Holiday do this. Not only are they strong enough to hold their own in case they dump it down the post, but that's usually for that switch with the pick and roll. So if you do use that pick in the pick and pop, whatever that, you decide to do there, you get switched on to the best guard defender in the league. And that's been a thing for the last 6, 7 years. So being able to just add another chess piece into that match, and it's what makes Boston so dangerous is any given time on the court, you don't have a matchup you can exploit. We know what we know what the starting five can do defensively. With Jason, with Jalen, with Drew, with Derek White. When Kristaps comes back, he's no slouch defensively either, especially guarding the rim. I think the only guy you look at is Pritchard, and he's still an energy guy that can get you a matchup because he just doesn't know anything other than playing basketball.
And his trail defense is really good as well. I feel like that's underrated. Like he's really good at pressuring guys as he trails the play. His rear view defense is solid. And same with Derek White. I said Derek White has the length to be able to get the block there. Pritchard just puts you under pressure, makes you make some mistakes. Sorry for cutting you. I just
I
wanted to
know.
give him some flowers.
No, yeah, 100%. And I guess my long-winded thing here is adding Brissett there doesn't kill any continuity defensively. You can do the exact same things you already do defensively with Brissett in. Everybody else, I feel like, when Cornette goes out, you give away that height, especially with Miles Turner. I think Miles Turner being in foul trouble the way he is sets that emotion, right? Because there's a 7-footer you now don't have for a majority of the game. Let me see if I had his stat pulled up. I wonder if we can find how many minutes he actually played, but it was not a lot. He was on the bench for a good while last night. Let's see. He only played 24 minutes, and he did awesome in game one. Miles Turner did. So get him in foul trouble. Now you take that 7-footer off the court, and you can use Brissett. You don't need Cornell. Obviously, he was sure. Hopefully, he's all right. But you don't need to bring in a Tillman. You don't need to play Al Horford 90 minutes. You only played 25 minutes, and you were excellent. So overall, I thought last night's game was awesome. Using Brissett was great, and I really think, like you said, he's going to be a matchup for this series. I don't know how much he is, and we're not looking forward here. We don't look too forward. We got to play the guys in front of us. So it'll be interesting to see how it works going forward. But I can see Brissett getting some minutes in a little revenge game. That was a team that he kind of made his name with in Indiana. It's where he got his real first rotation minutes and his real first big break in the NBA. So to be on a really good team going against your former team, there's always a little bit there.
Yeah, I feel like you could say the same for Neesmith though, right? Neesmith comes up against Boston in the like the house that he helped
Yeah.
build, which he didn't, but yeah. But he played some ridiculous defense on Tatum, especially in that first half. Feel like Tatum got going in the third, and then he kind of figured it out to get some points in the fourth as well, found his spots. But for the first two quarters, Neesmith was just there. He was
Yeah.
just in his grill, physical, didn't let him create space, recovered quickly, managed to keep his hands up. And that gave Tatum some trouble. And my takeaway is that it'll drop in about 20 minutes, which I do after every game. Um, One of the things I put was I just want Tatum to abandon the 3-point line for the rest of the playoffs. Like, it's just not there for him right now. And take the ones that are open, fine, but don't try and create for yourself there. Don't run offense to get you there. If you're getting the ball in the slot, I want you to drive, because guys like Neesmith that are just pesky and just energetic and a bit reckless, they're going to push up so high on you that you can attack that lead hip and then get some just separation and attack downhill, force a rotation, kick it out, or finish through traffic, whatever you want to do. But Neesmith definitely in that first half was a problem for JT. And then overall, like JT's struggle from the perimeter is just making it a little bit harder for him to be able to attack guys when they're pushing up too high.
Yeah, they were mentioning it on the broadcast last night, which I think JJ Redick's awesome. I know the Celtics fan base has a little animosity towards Doris Burke. I love Doris. Um, they have so many long defenders they can throw at Tatum. Obi Toppin was giving him issues, especially in that first half. Let's just call it a spade a spade. Jason Tatum did not play well in that first half on either side of the ball. He wasn't engaged defensively for what I saw. He obviously the scoring struggles are what they were. He wasn't really passing the ball. I think he had ended the first half with like 4, 2, and 2, which that doesn't one for like 8 shooting or something like. So he just wasn't engaged. He like you said, he turned it on halfway to that third quarter, had a pretty good fourth quarter, ended up his numbers looked pretty decent, 20 something points on 9 for 20 shooting. It's not terrible. It's not a Jason Tatum game, but you didn't need a Jason Tatum game where Jaylen Brown gave you a Jason Tatum game.
40, yeah, yeah.
He was
1 of
awesome.
7 from deep though, bro. Tatum was 1 of 7 from deep.
Yeah.
Again, this is my point, right? 26% on the postseason. Like,
Yeah.
that's my only concern. And he's playing excellent basketball everywhere else, just to put it out there.
Yeah, no, he's been awesome, and then again, we talked about I'm sure you've talked about it in the multiple different videos you've thrown out since the playoffs started. He looked a lot better than I think people are giving him credit for, especially the national media. But I think to your point, he's at his best when he's driving, and JJ Redick mentioned that, like, when he uses his strength and he's put on so much muscle. I know the joke is 12 pounds of muscle every year. He keeps putting on 12 pounds. He's gonna be 342 pounds per muscle by the time he's done if he keeps that in 12 pounds every year. But he's so strong. When he's get to the rim, he's going downhill and he is getting fouled and he is finishing strong. That's when he's at his best, and that's always been the case. When he's mixing that in and being able to hit from anywhere, then he's the best player on the planet at times. And he has shown that. He's shown that in the playoffs where he can just hit anything. And I think it's the classic trope where, a 3-point shooter who's struggling, get him a free throw, just get him a layup, something to see the ball go in, and that helps. And I think the exact when he turned it on in that third quarter, he hit a couple layups. He was able to get a couple easy ones, able to kind of lean in with a shoulder, get a guy off him. Then he was going to the mid range where he started hitting a couple. He hit 2 or 3 or 4 in a row. And that's when the game opens up because now you drive 2, 3 times. Like you mentioned, now you got to back off a second. Well, that foot of space is enough for any NBA player, especially one of the top 5 in the league, especially scoring the ball wise. So I don't think I'm extreme. I am at that extreme where I think he should abandon the ball, and like you said, take the open ones. But I don't think he should
Yeah,
be.
like when I say abandon it, I'm don't ISO there,
Don't
basically.
be, hunting for a step back 3-point shot.
Yeah.
Have 10 seconds on the clock, and you have a guy you can take to the rim, especially when Miles Turner's not out. And they mentioned like when Miles Turner was out of the game, all they were doing was scoring in the paint, which is awesome. So shout out to the crowd that Boston can only win shooting threes. No, they score in the paint and they win games. So yeah, I agree with that. I agree that I think everyone can agree when he's going to the basket, he's his best player. And sometimes it takes him a second to remember, all right, let's put, Kobe Bryant to bed for a second. Let's be Jason Tatum for a second. And some of that pops up and he's still a young kid and we get it. But once he turned it on, I feel like if he can just start game 3 that way, it's gonna be historic.
And that's where he's been at his best all season, the same as Jalen Brown. I like to call it like a featured scorer role. So where you're being the guy that's pressuring the rim, catching off the rip, whether you're cutting, whether you're catching and ripping through. and you're just being featured as a guy that pressures the rim and scores within the paint because that creates such a collapse from the defense that it opens up the drive and kick game, which some coaches will call like the spray free game, where you're just spraying the ball out to whoever.
Mhm.
It also opens up secondary drives, secondary cuts. You can get into screening actions. And this is why I'm like, yeah, don't abandon the open ones, but you don't need to over focus on being that guy because it's not there for you right now. And it's not like it's a small slump. We're talking, what was this now? 5, 10, 11, 12 games into the pot. You've had a 12-game shooting slump. And in the grand scheme of the NBA, that is still a small slump. And the overcorrection will be massive once that floodgate opens up. But for now, just build that rhythm scoring on the interior, take the open ones, come off some flare screens for some catch and shoot opportunities, and just limit the dribble pull up threes. And if you walk into an open one, fine, take it if you have to. But I'd much rather you fake that kind of stepping free and then drive and just ram it home, because building on that sequence will allow you to just develop that rhythm where you feel more comfortable. And then once you feel comfortable, because it does feel like there's that point 0.5 point or like 1 second delay when Tatum's wide open, where you feel like he's lining up the shot because he's overthinking it at this point. It's a case of the yips. So for me, I'm like, just go back to what you're great at. And then once you stop thinking about it and those threes are coming in rhythm, go back to taking them. But right now, you're just in your own head, or at least that's how it looks, right?
Yeah, no,
Obviously, we don't know.
yeah, 100% agree. See where you're going with that. I think with how complex basketball is now and how intricate all these sets are and these actions are and these screens and these plays everyone's running, sometimes you just gotta go to the simple basics. And I played basketball through high school. Every coach I had, get the ball in the paint at least once per possession, and you're gonna have good success. And sometimes, it's a 3-point game. And the Celtics had been doing a good job at driving, kicking, and then finding those open. There was a couple times last night. One stuck out. I believe it ended up in a Derek White 3-pointer, I believe. But someone drove, kicked it to Jalen, who kicked it to Drew, who kicked it to White, who was like no one within 30. And it's just that ball movement is what makes this team so special. And it's getting the ball in the paint first, especially a guy like Jason, who they've used to start plays. They've used as a facilitator, especially when a shot isn't falling. Use that threat of I can score whenever I want, especially when I get towards that paint. And then that collapse, that's just simple basketball. That's just simple drive and kick. That's just simple taking a really good look at the basket and turning it into a fantastic 3-point chance, which wins you basketball games in today's NBA. So I just think simpling the game down for him. I don't know who tweeted it out. It might have been you. It might have been someone. I don't know. But someone's like, I would love to just see them like to open up a quarter, just try to get him an easy bucket. Get him an Iverson screen, get him something where he can get put in a nice spot to get an easy one, just to start off, especially when he's having a shitty first half. Like we said, keep it a buck. If the national media ever wanted to, dump on Jason Tatum, that first half was I think they blew their load early.
I was muted. They're going to, first
Yeah,
take's
I know
probably
they are.
going to time of recording, first take's probably just about to start airing. So the clips will come.
Oh,
The
no,
clips will come. And like, screw those guys. I'm really against that like narrative right now. But I get it.
yeah, if ever there was a game to start this, it would have been it wouldn't have been the last month when they've been doing.
Yeah.
This would have been the ones if you wanted to raise a question that everyone looks at you and goes, "What are you talking about?" It wasn't last month, it was right. But either way, I digress. Jason Tatum, very good. We can confirm that. He's like Halo for him. He has a lot of responsibility. He is a star. He's a superstar. And I think, these guys have a lot of pressure to perform, and all of them do. And the greats do constantly. He's been doing that constantly. This playoffs, he's had his moments. He's had his moments where he's just looked a little too, like I said, a little too frazzled. I would love for them to just try to slow the game, and they have the team to do that. You can't do that when you're LeBron in '07. You can't ease him into a game. You have to be on 100%. You can't do that with a star that doesn't have a supporting cat. Like, he is privileged in that right, and I don't think that diminishes him at all. I think it makes my life a lot easier because I'm not relying on one. Like, I sleep fine knowing that there's 2 or 3 other guys that can help out in that case. So use that. Obviously, he's taken that step. He's taken that leap. He's taken that leadership role. He's taken over games. We've seen it. We've seen it for the last 4, 5, 6 years. So that isn't a question to me. He can do it. He's done it. We've seen it. I don't know why no one else seems to have that get paid millions of dollars to talk about it. But right now, you just need to get him going. I would love just ease him in. He's earned that he can. He has the team where he's able
And
to.
that's generally how he approaches games, right?
Yeah,
He works his way in. I feel like this first half performance was a little bit more accentuated because the defense from him was below standard. I
yeah,
felt like he wasn't bringing the ball up as much, or he wasn't finding success when initiating like he usually does. And when the other things that he does are also struggling,
yeah,
that's when the scoring issues really feel more pronounced because
yeah,
you're like, oh, I can live with Tatum struggling, like having a quiet offensive night when he's doing the rebounding, the defending. He's initiating offense. He's running pick and roll. He's screening and he's creating space as a screen guy. I can live with a 4 point quarter or a 4 point half because he's done so much other shit. But when everything else is struggling too, okay, now that scoring issue becomes so much more pronounced because you're like, well, we're not getting much anywhere else. So he is more of a negative there. And it felt like that in the first half, picked up a bit in the second. I want to move on because I feel like we spent a little bit of time talking on JT right now. Before I do, I want to point out that there's about 150 people watching live and then a few more on Instagram watching live too. So I'd like to take this moment just to remind everybody, if you're watching, go and sign on to the YouTube channel. It's free. Just type in Celtics Chronicle on YouTube, hit subscribe. Help me. Help me. Please. It's free. Okay, moving on. Drew Holiday. Have to give Drew Holiday his flowers. Have to. I put a
If you
tweet
are
out this
going to, I
morning.
was going to. If you are going to, I was going to.
Put a tweet out. I said this afternoon, like everybody. It's the afternoon for me, not for anybody else right now, unless you're in the UK or in Europe. But I put it out over the last two games. So the first two games of the Eastern Conference Finals, Holiday has 40 combined, obviously 43 points, 18 assists, 10 rebounds, 3 steals, shooting 69.6% from the field and 58.3% from 3 point range. But someone told me, or the internet told me, that Holiday sucks in the postseason?
No, they
Yeah,
say
that's what they told me.
heard it too. No, trust me. Now,
I
I
got
will
lied to, bro.
I will say this. You do look at some of the Drew Holiday games. Obviously, it's all box score watchers. He does have some stinkers if you look at like offense, but
Of
I think
course.
it's just the nature of he was the second option on a championship team or in a playoff settings team. When he was in New Orleans, it was Anthony Davis and then him. Well, the year they had DeMarcus Cousins, I don't think DeMarcus Cousins played. I think he hurt himself before they got to the playoff. Drew Holiday isn't a second scoring option. Not back then, especially not now. When he's the fourth guy, the fifth guy, and he's being left open all the time, and he's really being able to focus solely on defense and facilitating, and then you leave him open 90% of the time because you have to worry about Jalen Brown and Derek White and Jason Tatum, then yeah, Drew Holiday is awesome. He's been great. I think what game 2 against Cleveland, he kind of other than that,
Yeah, like he
offense
improved a little bit game 3, and then it's just been on it.
and like you're not asking him to score 25 a night. You were asking him to score 25 a night when he was in New Orleans. You were asking him to score 25 a night when you were in Milwaukee while playing fantastic defense, while setting everybody up as there like I love Drew Holiday and he's awesome. He's great. But how many point guards on a night to night basis could do that? Fucking Russell Westbrook, Chris Paul, who else? Like those are like some of the top guys in their prime that were doing that. Drew Holiday just wasn't there. He's always been a very, very good point guard. He's never been a top flight, top 3 point guard in the game. He's been awesome defensively, and that's where he makes his bread. And offensively, you get what you get. He's had better years than others. He's been a 20-point game scorer before. He shot, a good percentage from three, but to have him be the fulcrum of your playoff success offensively, I think that's where a lot of those people gave him the CTE Drew moniker, where he can just be Drew Holiday all the time. He doesn't have to be Superman, and I think that's fine. I think that's okay to say. And this is not me shitting on Drew Holiday at all. I love Drew Holiday. He's been awesome. as much as I love Marcus Smart, and I love Marcus Smart, Adam, I think this is a fantastic point guard to have on my team, and I think it's an overall upgrade. Just to seeing everything that we've seen this year compared to last year, and then that's no shot at Smart either. This is just a better player,
Yeah,
and
it's Rue does what Marcus does, but just at a notch or
it's
two above.
a notch or two
On
above.
both sides of the ball as well. That's what you need on both sides. And I feel like as you like kind of just to paraphrase what you were saying there, Drew's better right now because he doesn't have to be that second guy. He's better right now because on nights where he doesn't have the shot and it's not falling, he doesn't have to force it. He's got Derek White next to him. Usually, if Drew's struggling from offense, Derek steps up. If Derek's struggling from offense, Drew will step up. Both guys can create, both guys can defend, and it allows both of them to kind of take possessions off and
Yeah,
switch matchups and have it. That gives you a bit more longevity throughout a game, throughout a series, because you're not the only guy who's taking a pounding at the point of attack. Because hey, we can switch Jalen Brown to the point of attack. We can switch Derek White to the point of attack if we need to. We and Tatum's better as a help defender, obviously, but if we need to, we can switch Tatum to the point of attack. So now, whereas Drew and Marcus Smart before him were primarily the only point of attack option, now you're iterating between 3 or 4 guys, and it's allowing Drew to be more aggressive offensively to a point where I feel like he's had a mentality shift and he's realized that because he's not having to face the second best defender. And that's the other side of things as well, right? Like when you're the second option on a team, you're facing the second best defender on the opposing team. Drew's now being matched up with the third, fourth, or fifth best defender, and that's allowing him to take advantage. He's playing more mid post. He's being put in the dunker. He's being used as a role guy, and he's being given such a wide like variety of offense that he can attack out of, while having a quote unquote mismatch skill wise, but against a fifth or fourth level defender on a starting unit. It's just allowing him to be a bit more robust in how he attacks things.
and if you need 30 from Drew Holiday, like you needed in game 1, you needed every point of those 28. You only need 15 for game 2 to win by almost 30. Like, that's the beauty of this team, and, like, kinda what I was saying when we were talking about Tatum is you just have so many options, and that's a privilege to have. Not every team that's why this team is so good, and we've been yelling at their TV screens and our Twitter timelines that you just don't like, this team is so good. They have their moments like every team in every sport has ever had in the history of ever. Back in the Greek days where they were just drawing naked dudes on those vases, for the Olympics. Those guys had struggles. Fun fact, this is sports. And you just see this team, and it's like you built it in 2K with the money off, and you were able to just trade anyone because you could control because it's a video game. Like that's how good this team is. And you have these stars and these you can attack from all different angles. And Drew Holiday just does there's no expectations offensively for Drew other than make an open three when you get it, move the ball around. That's his offensive duties. You tell me if I'm wrong. From just a fan that's just watching the game.
That's how it feels for me.
Right. You need 28 from Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum. You need 28 on a scoring night like that every night because that's what they are. They do. They score the basketball. They're two of the best scorers of the basketball in the league. You don't need that from Drew Holiday. You don't need that from Derek White, and that's what makes Derek White so awesome because he can go off for 90. But he can also have, 7 points, 8 points in a game, play lockdown defense, and do the little things that he does. They also allow Drew to be smart. He is an intelligent basketball player. I don't think anyone was taking that away from him. He's just always where he needs to be. I know JJ Redick was talking, and we've seen this all year, the crashing from the corner on 3-point attempts where everyone kind of just leaves that corner man. That's how Peyton Pritchard gets so many offensive
Yeah.
rebounds. That's how Drew Holiday has gotten so many clutch offensive rebounds because they let these guys who are just basketball junkies do what they need to do. Just go out there, make a play. We trust you. You're smart enough. You've been in this league since I was in like what, 8th grade, 6th grade. Like he's been doing this for a long time. He's a smart guy. And so they just let him be him. And he doesn't have to be Superman. We have two of them. He doesn't have to be Superman, which is awesome. And it just makes everything so much better. And that's why he got the bad rap in Milwaukee, which I don't get why he won him a championship. Shout out Milwaukee. That's why he kind of got that bad rap in the playoffs with New Orleans. I remember me and my buddy we like would share like our top 50 players in the league list. Like 3, 4 times a year, we'd update it. I would always have Drew Holiday higher. It's like what he does on a night to night basis is awesome. When you get to the playoffs, he sinks. It's like the classic Kyle Lowry, right? Where it's like he's not that good, and then you watch him play back when Kyle Lowry was like really good. It's like okay, he's like really good. Oh, he does a lot of little stuff. Oh, and then he gets to the playoffs. It's like oh wait, he sucks. And it's just that kind of level for everyone on the list because no one watches basketball all the time. That was the same kind of trajectory Drew Holiday was. Like he does the little things you appreciate it come All-Star break. You're excited come April, and then he kind of shits the bed, and you're like, well, this guy was never was as good as we thought he was, which just isn't true. He just asked to do way too much.
And that's where he's thriving now. Like, and that's the same. You could say like maybe Derek White's emergence has been because he has so much freedom and so many players around him that allow him to play a very specific style. Maybe it's just because the Celtics development staff are great and they're bringing out the best. And maybe it's just because Joe lets them play a brand of basketball that brings out the best in each of them. And we'll hit the 30-minute mark. So I want to kind of move this towards the wrapping up portion. I'd like to keep shows between 30 and 40 minutes just because I feel any longer than that's overkill. Looking directly at you, Bill Simmons. Um, I'm only joking. I do struggle to get through those unless they're on 2 times speed, though. So we're heading over like I'm there. So the Celtics are heading down to Indiana. 2 games on the road. What is your prediction? Are you predicting a split? Are you predicting they come back tied up? Or are you predicting a sweep? Bearing in mind, Porzingis is supposedly on track to return in game 4. And I'm assuming that'll be on a minutes restriction.
I think I'll go the conservative split for 2 reasons. One, like again, this Pacers team's playing with house money, and they have
Yeah.
and like they're just gonna throw like again, we have runs where we're up 16, now it's all of a sudden a 5, and that's all the first game. That was all. That's gonna be the whole series. Like I said, get your cigarettes ready because it's gonna be a series, no matter what you think. And
And
so
if you
they
don't smoke, don't start. Do not let Cody put you onto a bad habit.
hey, smoking cigarettes is cool again. Don't listen to Adam.
No, it's not. Do
Dude,
not listen.
Marlboro Reds. I'm playing. I'm
You're
playing.
gonna get me demonetized before I'm even monetized, man.
I'm playing. I'm playing. I'm playing. But anyway, they're gonna come out and they're gonna give you everything. With Halliburton or not, you still got Rick Carlisle over there, who is an awesome head coach. He's been doing it before. He's won a championship before. He's been doing this for a long time. He's gonna get you a game. He's not quite like he's not like the top coach in the league, but he's been doing it enough where he will coach a team into a win.
He's
And
an underrated coach in
yeah,
the league, though.
very underrated. And he will coach you into a win. And I feel like they're also undefeated at home. Also, selfishly, how cool would it to be to close out the series in Boston? So,
Yeah.
selfishly, I kinda want that. But I'll go with this I'll go with a split. Obviously, it all depends on what Halliburton's doing. I would love to see Porzingis. I don't obviously don't want him to push it, but if he's ready to go, even if you just give him 15 minutes, get him out there, get him ready. Draymond was talking about this on the pregame show of the Wolves Mavericks game for some reason. They were talking about the Celtics, and they were like, he hasn't played in a month. And there's a little truth to that. Like, he hasn't played in a month. When he does come back, it would be about a month since he's played. So I'd love to get him some time. Obviously, I know they're working him in practice, they're not working him too much. But once he's ready to go, I'm sure they'll throw him in.
Minutes restriction, bro.
Yeah.
At least for the conference finals.
Run. Like if you give him some run, if he's able to, again, don't push him by any means. But if he's ready to go, the doctors say he's good to go for game 4. You're up 3-1. Split him and Al can split 20 minutes apiece. And just let that go. Let him get just kind of up to speed, entwined with the offense and the defense. And so I'll go sweep conservative. Hopefully close out in Boston. And how loud would the Garden be if we clinch it? I don't know. I'm just saying. It'd be cool.
I'm just saying, I'm a big fan of win as quickly as possible, get as
Yeah,
much rest as possible. I feel like that Mavs Timberwolves series could go 7.
let's go.
It could go 4, but it could go 7.
Let's go in 7.
If you can get this done in 4 or 5, then you've got extra rest again. And I feel like, you want as much rest as you can coming in so the knocks and the bumps and bruises can heal. You've got additional practice time. You've got time for the coaches to formulate game plans between whichever potential team it's going to be. So my heart says a sweep. My head says it's going to get split. You're going to go back to Boston. It might even be a 6-game series. There's still a chance. A
Oh, yeah.
lot, as you said, it all depends on Halliburton. 1 second. There's now over 200 people watching this live on Twitter and Facebook, and then a couple more over on Instagram. I have literally got my phone in my hand, and the subscriber count on YouTube is not going up. I would like that to change very much. Please help me.
Definitely do. Adam has the again, I've been playing and watching basketball for almost 15, 20 years now. I learn something new every time I look into one of Adam's shorts or some of his videos and talking to him. Even off camera, we talk, a good amount, and he knows his stuff. So definitely give him that subscribe, that follow, all
It
that.
would help. Like,
I love it so much. If
it
you up
could jump right now by 200 people. Do you know how much that would mean? Look, help? I'm only playing. I'm not playing. I am looking, but still. So yeah, I'm going to say this. I wouldn't mind it ending in 4. I understand it could end in 5 or 6. Halliburton's fitness is going to play a huge part there. I expect to see Brissett in the rotation. I'm just doing a roundup now. We expect that maybe Brissett takes over from Cornet the rest of this series at least. Bring back Porzingis, manage his minutes. Drew Holiday was awesome. Tatum, leave the free ball alone unless it's off a catch and shoot or it's wide open. The rest of the time, attack the mid range, check the rim. Jaylen Brown had a godlike game. All NBA snub. I don't understand how the fuck he got left off. No. With that, Cody, let everyone know where they can find you so we can let these 5 people out of here. And they can go and hit the subscribe button.
Yeah, yeah, definitely check out Adam. Obviously, you're here, so you know how good Adam is at this job. If you're not subscribed, please do. I'm just on Twitter, Cody Shalafu33. I'm sure it'll be someplace or whatever. Also, I just can't wait for this 39-point TJ McConnell outburst at one of these games, and then Google explodes. So I can't wait for that to
And
happen.
then
I can feel it in my lungs that we're gonna get one of those games for no reason.
with that, I'm gonna end it. I will give out a shout out to someone on Instagram, and I'm gonna butcher your name as I always do. So I do apologize. Rhino Chi. Ronochee. Somebody needs to spell that out for me like on Basketball Reference. He's been rocking all the way through the show. Comments have been flying in. It's just hard to kind of see them and watch Twitter and do this without losing my train of thought. So I just wanted to give you a shout out for rocking with us all the way. Once again, Celtics Chronicles, subscribe to the newsletter, subscribe to the podcast. We'll be back probably tomorrow. So yeah, show Cody love. Cody's been stuck at 300 Twitter followers for 7 years. I don't understand. Show him some love.